Hey everyone, it's Frederick Kramer here, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make building a 7 or potentially even 8-figure SMMA or other coaching business easier than literally playing video games. Some people might say, well, that's clickbait, that's crazy. It's actually not that crazy, and I've been doing that for myself and I've seen other successful people do it. In case you don't know me yet, my name is Frederick Kramer and I'm on a mission to revolutionize productivity by helping agency owners double, triple or quadruple the speed at which they get rich. And of course that's going to happen when we help you make it as easy as playing video games. So without further ado, let's get into that. So the first thing that you need to be careful of is building a business is of course usually associated with actually being really painful, but it is only hard because of the pain, right? If you imagine a business without it being painful, all you're doing is you're pressing a couple of buttons and you're clicking with your mouse, then you may be talking to people, then you may be recording a couple of videos of you saying something, and then you upload that, then you test something, and yeah, maybe it takes a bit long, right? But it's not actually painful. Because when you're playing on your Discord with your friends, like some random video game, right? What do? You click on your mouse, you press a few keys on your keyboard, you get recorded, you talk to people. Maybe you actually like make gaming videos, whatever. In the past, probably everyone did, right? So that's basically the same, right? And the pain that you have is literally just in your mind, and the pain is not, it's not initially there, right? It has to have some reason. And usually the pain is there because of a lack of skill or a lack of beliefs. And usually skill and belief are hand in hand, because when you get better at something, of course your beliefs are going to be that thing is easy, and the pain is literally just coming from you thinking that certain parts are hard or that you're not good at certain parts yet, right? So pain is usually associated, of course, when people send outreach because they don't like the rejection, because they don't want to get into arguments, because they don't like what other people think of them, right? And all of these things are basically just beliefs, right? Because when you believe that what other people think of you doesn't matter at all, and the only point why you're using Instagram or whatever platform you're using, right, is literally just, or like email, is just to get some money in and to help the people, and you don't care if someone is like aggressive or something, because most people have the emotional control of like children, right? And you as a business owner are going to learn how to be like way more controlled than that, right? And for example, when you believe that the people aren't actually smarter than you, outreach is really easy, right? Because if then someone comes around and like treats you like shit, you just don't care, right? And you might even be able to send them like a polite reply and like make it really, really clear on an objective level that you're actually like smarter than them, and see that most people that like treat you like shit, they don't actually have any idea, right? Or when you think that sales calls are hard, when you realize that you're literally just like asking them a couple of questions and it's really intuitive at some point, and that you can, for example, follow a script while it's actually looking at the camera, making it authentic. When you know all these things, these are beliefs, and these beliefs make the tasks easy, right? And now, of course, the question becomes, okay, how can I have beliefs like naturally in a way where I don't have that much pain, right? Because that's the goal. We wanted to reduce the pain, because then we literally just play video games in a way. So the way that you do that, or let's put it this way, the way that your mind is actually creating beliefs is not by just having one experience. So most of the, basically all beliefs stem from actual real life experience, right? So it happens most of the time when people start a business that they think like selling is a bad thing, right? Because in real life, all the people talk about like pyramid scheme when they talk about business, or they make fun of like some rich people, maybe like Wolf of Wall Street or something, like they think that you're like an evil person. Nobody likes the rich people, right? It's like these are actual experiences of you talking to other people and listening to what other people say from their beliefs, right? And nobody knows where the actual original beliefs come from, right? Or you might imagine, right? But when you listen to them, that's the initial experience, and that is creating a belief. And the more you have of that experience, of course, the more you will have the actual belief. And the crazy thing is, your mind cannot distinguish the difference between an actual experience and something that just happened in your mind, so just a thought, right? So it could be the case that some random shit is happening in your dreams that you can't even remember, but that sort of like happened, and your mind is subconsciously creating beliefs from that, right? And that's, by the way, why people like have affirmations and stuff like that, because they try to drill in like new beliefs. But that's not even what we actually want to do here, right? You have lots of other videos for doing that. The thing that I want to talk about is that the negative beliefs that you have. So for example, what will people say when I send them like an outreach message, or what do people say on a sales call when I just pitch them like something really expensive, even though they said at the beginning that they're not going to buy today, and then I try to handle that objection even though they already said that, right? It's like such things like that where the pain is actually forming. How can you get like away from that and make sure that your mind is less building these beliefs that this thing is bad? Well, the reason why you're actually having beliefs, right, they don't come from now to like, they're not there from like yesterday to right now, from today to tomorrow. I don't know how you call that, right? They don't come overnight. Does that make sense? And the reason why the beliefs come is because you're repeating them in your mind, because you're thinking so much. And let's imagine we're having like our first ever sales call tomorrow 8 a.m. and we're sleeping to like 7:30, right? When you go to bed, you're going to be extremely stressed because you're thinking of the sales call all the time. Oh my god, a sales call, I got to close them, or what do I actually say, or what do I actually do. I know the process, but you know, like such things. Your mind is sort of addicted to thinking about emotions, right? The more emotions there are on something, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, your mind rather tends to think about that than to think about something boring. And when you think about like really negative things, of course, that is automatically increasing the negative belief that you have. And that's why it's also like called a feedback loop when people think about negative things, because they have something painful, they think about the painful thing, they imagine that, they're sort of like justifying why it's actually painful, therefore it becomes more painful, therefore it's more likely for them to think about it, and it gets harder and harder and harder, right? And the way to stop this is to literally think as little as possible. And the cool thing is, when you don't think, like, you might say, okay, thinking is just a process in my mind, right? But actually, people that are, imagine a scientist that's having like a lot of work and like doing some really like cognitive hard work, something like that, or like some chess player, right? Do you know how many calories are actually burnt in like chess tournaments? Thinking is actually taking a ton of energy, right? And you probably know as a business owner that you want to get as much energy as you have like in your mind, because then you can accomplish more stuff, right? We as business owners probably all lack energy at some point, and we just want to work like a ton, but our body is sort of like limiting us most of the times, right? And you're literally like losing energy thinking about stuff, and thinking is literally harder, or like potentially more actually like energy consuming than sending outreach or whatever you want to do in your business, right? And which is crazy, right? And basically most people just do that, right? And when you think about it, ironically, thinking is literally the lowest leverage activity that you ever have, right? Because you don't do anything, you're not solving any problems most of the time, right? You're literally just worrying about bad stuff that's happening, or that is happening in the future, and making the bad stuff bigger, or you're thinking about positive stuff that's happening or happening in the future. When it's happening right now, you're probably going to think, if you're a long-term thinker, that it's going to be like over soon, which is also bad again. Or you think about positive things that are going to happen in the future, but that still doesn't help you because you can't move them like further to the present, usually, right? Only by building a business, but that's what this video is about, right? So when you like get this like all together and summarize it, right? So when you stop thinking that much, and I will like in a second, I'll also show you like my processes for actually doing that. And it's not like absolutely easy, but of course, when you can actually do it, it's going to make literally business like easier than playing video games, right? So what you do when we're not having that, right? So when you're not building up the beliefs that something is bad, so when you stop, and like I said, I'll show you how to do, when you stop constantly thinking about that, when you have the sales call tomorrow at night, but you just go to bed like an idiot, like you can't predict into the future, like a cat or something, right? They don't have a concept of time. For them it's like it's always now, right? You go to bed, you don't think of the sales call, you can actually get like a really, really good sleep, like ordering like 95, like sleep or 92, right? You sleep, right? Next day you wake up, but you don't even think about the sales call because it's not the time to like actually wake up yet. So, well, you might just like sleep a little bit more, right? Then you go to the sales call. You didn't think much about the call, right? You're going to just go through the process. You talk to the process. You see, okay, they're actually kind of nice. Oh, okay, they're actually kind of disrespectful. And then you might come across the thought, well, it's just the first time. Maybe I don't look crazy professional. Maybe I don't have case studies. Well, I'm just going to go through the process. Then after the call, you didn't close, it got a bit into an argument, you're just, okay, it was my first call. You go through life like an idiot. The pain isn't forming, right? when the pain isn't forming, there's no leverage for the business sort of to be painful. And then literally all that you're doing is just clicking a couple of buttons, right? Because you don't have the beliefs, therefore there's not that much pain in your mind. And when you think back about that, there are some things in your business, if you made some progress, that used to be really painful at the beginning, but now they're not painful at all anymore, right? So for example, if you've been on like 200 calls or like 300 calls or more than that in the past, then a call is not going to seem that hard for you, right? Or when you've sent like thousands and thousands of outreach messages, like I did, for example, sending outreach and the judgment of other people is not painful at all anymore. After I did cold calling once and got people like talking to me in real life, I didn't care about anything that someone would say on text, right? It might still piss me off to some degree, but not that I would find it like painful to actually like send the outreach, right? Sometimes maybe to go through the replies and seeing that a version that I'm testing right now is getting like really like badly judged, but it's not nearly as painful as it was at the beginning when people literally like don't want to send the message, right? Because it's so painful. And what that shows us is that the longer you can do something, the less pain it will naturally create. So you don't even need to do this forever with most of the activities, because when you build skill, you build positive beliefs, and you literally think, and this is your truth, that this thing isn't hard and that it's not painful, right? So what I mean by that is you only need to do this exercise of behaving like an idiot on the actual negative things that you're thinking about, which is usually related to your actually bottleneck, right? So it's always your bottleneck where you have the most like limiting beliefs or like pain around. Right, and when you have that, you don't have the pain. And why this is easier than playing video games is because what does a gamer do, right? They go to their PC, they have fun playing that, pressing the buttons, doing whatever game they actually play, right? And they do this for years. They literally like spend years and years on end doing that. Some people literally like hours and hours a day. Most people don't actually have the time because of 9 to 5, stuff like that, right? But as much time as they can actually get, they're just going and going and going. And the thing that makes gaming harder is you're literally not making any real progress, right? Because next game comes out, you're at 0 again, right? Next game comes out, you're at 0 again. The friends that you're talking to are probably pissed off in some degree as well. They're more aggressive because games tend to agitate people a bit more because it's heavily stimulating and stuff like that, right? And you're not making any progress in real life. You're not looking better at the screen, but probably like your posture's literally getting worse when you look into the mirror. Like it's not actually that easy and it's not actually that fun. But when you're building a business, this stuff has real life like hard stakes, right? Because when you get really good at that, suddenly you make 6 figures, 7 figures, maybe even 8 figures, right? And then you literally like you're playing like real life, and of course there's more of a connection and more of a motivation when it's about actually like real life stakes. And what you're doing is as fun as playing video games to get you there, right? If that makes sense. So in that way, it will literally be harder for me to play video games because I could be bothered. Like, why the fuck would I go to my PC and start playing like Fortnite or something, right? When I can literally just work on my business, which in my state right now, where I'm like used to doing things that are not as fun, maybe, basically making things more fun than they actually are, right? I already find it fun to just like work on my business basically. And that's the main point that I wanted to bring over here. And now of course the question is, how do you actually do that? How do you go through life like an idiot, right? Because that's what you want to do. Because if you think about like really stupid people, and that's not to judge them because you can't do much for like how smart you are, of course, is to like a huge part just a genetical thing, right? But really stupid people, they just don't think that much. Like they just do. And when you think about like animals, like they literally just do. Like they don't even have a concept of time, but they still get through life and they still like spread across the entire planet and stuff like that. Or like they're like wherever, like their zone where they can actually survive. You get the point, right? It doesn't require a lot of thought and it doesn't require much intelligence for the most part to get good at business. Of course, you need to understand the concepts, and when you're more intelligent, you tend to learn faster and stuff like that. But when actually like just like doing stuff, overthinking is never going to make it quicker for you. It's never going to make it easier. And that's why you say overthinking, right? Because the actual thinking that you need to do is very, very small, right? So what you want to do is whenever you start thinking about something that's not like really important right now for your business, which is like 99% of the times the case, you just want to behave like an idiot and try to stop thinking about that. If something is happening, like just go back to the thing that you're presently doing, right? And usually the time where we tend to think more as business owners is not when we are actually working a lot, right? For example, the sales call in itself is not as painful as the actual thoughts that you have before the call, right? Or for example, when you have like 2 calls exactly after each other, the most pain that you will have will be for the first call, because you're going to think, oh fuck, like there's this call, this call, this call. When you get off the call, going on the next call, like the next call is not going to be nearly as painful, because most of the pain is coming before the actual activity, but there's also already like the before of the first sales call, so you don't have the thought on the second one. And that's why it's like way easier. So what I want to explain is that we tend to think about the most like hard things, not when we're at work, but actually when we're taking a break, which is also making the break like way less relaxing, of course. But when we're taking a break, we think about that stuff more there, because our mind is not as much like I don't know how to say that, like it's not like that strenuous for your mind, and you're doing things that are a bit easier. So whatever, like let's say you go for a walk, right? And whilst going for a walk, it's way easier to think about whatever you want to think of than whilst doing a sales call, because the sales call is really like, you need to be really like attentive sort of, and you need a lot of attention, and it's taking like a lot of like brain points away sort of. But on a walk, it's not actually happening. And actually, when you like want to have like a bit harder like things, just walking is way too easy, right? So automatically you're going to start thinking about something. And what I mean by that is, whenever you do something that is not that hard and not taking that much brain energy away, is that you want to try to just focus on the like low energy consuming level thing, and try to like go through it like an idiot, basically, right? So just walk, like literally just walk the walk, and as much as you can, just try to walk and not think, right? And when you're talking to other people, you of course can't talk about like some other off-topic like things, of course, but like in this context, we're working a lot, right? Or when you're watching, maybe when you're going on coaching calls or something, coaching calls, when other people get their questions answered, usually people also think about other things. Just try to like single-mindedly follow the coaching call, or when you're watching any like YouTube videos or modules, just try to single-mindedly like follow the videos as much as you can. And whenever you get the thoughts, of course, you're going to become aware of that at some point. And of course, what also helps is always this meditation, because meditation is literally you trying to like realize that you have a thought and getting back, right? That's literally going to make business as easy as playing a video game, right? By the way, if you want to scale an agency, but at the end of each day you feel like you could have done 10 times more, there's a link in the description where you can check out how we can help you beyond these videos. Doesn't matter to me really if you click that or not, because what matters to me is that your time is being saved. So I just wanted to leave that door open, and yeah, really appreciate you watching this video to the end. If you want to have YouTube recommend you more of these videos like that, right? Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment and all that stuff. But first of all, really appreciate you watching this to the end, because now you get the concept, right? Only thing that you need to do right now is just to think as little as you can, because when you do that, your brain is going to have less time to think about painful stuff, and the less it thinks about something that's painful, the less it can justify the pain, because usually at some point pain is going to fade away, because you're going to be good anyway, and you know that consciously, and the pain is really irrational, right? So your brain is not going to have the chance to actually build that irrational pain, which means that you have way less actual pain when like doing a task, which means that you're literally just clicking a couple of buttons and clicking on your mouse, and have something that's actually quite fun to do for some reason, right? When you're working on your business. And that business is literally easier than playing video games, because it's actually about the real life stakes. So I hope this could help you. Really appreciate you watching this. I hope you could understand or like see the value in that, and I'll see you next time. Bye.